Zelite, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Today we must sit down and talk about what is happening on our soil right now. We need to do a real deep dive talk about the big changes happening on the borders of the Alliance of Sahel States, AES. Specifically, we are looking at the new military steps taken by Burkina Faso and Benin. For a long time, the story of our borders has been a story of pain, division, and games played by outsiders. But right now, the ground is moving. What we are seeing in the border town of Kualu is not just a simple patrol, it is a major shift in how African defends Africa. Let's break this down step by step so we can understand the big picture. To understand why this new cooperation between Burkina Faso and Benin is a massive deal, we have to look at what just happened. For years, we were told that only foreign militaries, especially the French forces, could protect the Sahel and the coastal states from armed groups. But what did we see? We saw the security situation get worse year after year. The foreign bases were there. The high-tech drones were flying. But our soldiers and our villagers were still losing their lives. When the military leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso decided to show the French troops their door, those foreign forces did not go back to Europe. No, they simply packed their bags and moved next door. They repositioned their bases and assets in northern Benin, right along the borders of Niger and Burkina Faso. This created a massive wall of distrust. The leaders of the AES looked across the border and saw the same people they just kicked out, now sitting right at their doorsteps. Because of this, the borders were shut. Niger closed its border with Benin. This did not just stop military talk. It stopped trade. It stopped the trucks. It stopped ordinary mothers and fathers from doing business. It cost both nations millions of dollars. It was a cold war on African soil, and only the enemies of Africa were winning. But then, a new president came to power in Benin. He realized very quickly that you cannot build a prosperous nation while fighting with your neighbors, especially when those neighbors hold the keys to your security and your economy. He did not wait. He took state visit to Niger to see General Abdurrahman Chani, our all-in-all, to Mali, to our all-in-all General Assimi Goïta, to Burkina Faso to see Captain Ibrahim Traore, our all-in-all. He chose to talk to his African brothers instead of relying on instructions from Paris. And now, the fruits of those talks are showing on the ground. Let's talk about Kualu. This is a strategic area in northern Benin, right on the border zone. Recently, a video went viral. It did not show foreign troops. It showed a heavy, impressive convoy of Burkinabe fighting forces crossing into this territory. What was beautiful about this video was not just the heavy armor. It was the way the Beninese soldiers received these brothers from Burkina Faso. There was joy. There was mutual respect. There was trust. Why is this crossing so important? Because for years, the TT groups have used our colonial borders as a shield. These groups do not respect borders. They do not carry passports. When they attack a village in Burkina Faso and the Burkinabe army chases them, they simply cross the line into Benin. They knew the Burkinabe forces could not cross that line without starting a diplomatic war. The borders became a safe zone for the people who unalive our people. The only way to break this cycle is operational pragmatism. The two armies have finally realized a simple truth. No single country can win this war alone. If the enemy moves across borders, the defense must move across borders too. By launching joint patrols and establishing presence in places like Kuala, Burkina Faso and Benin are removing the safety net from under these TT groups. If you run from Burkina Faso into Benin, you will meet the joint force waiting for you. The game of hide and seek is over. There is another very deep layer to this military move. Remember, the French military still has installation and assets in northern Benin. They claim they are there to help, to do surveillance, to gather intelligence. But our people are asking, if you have all this technology, how did MTT manage to attack and unalive Benin soldiers just a few months ago right in this same border area? It feels like the foreign forces are just sitting in their barracks, playing games while our people bleed. But now, look at the map. With Burkinabe forces entering the area and working directly with the Beninese military, we now have our own eyes on the ground. We are no longer relying on foreign intelligence that is shared only when it suits them. Having AES aligned Burkinabe forces right there in northern Benin means we have a front row seat. We can see what the foreign bases are doing. We can monitor their flight. We can see any funny movement or suspicious activities. It is a bold statement. We are in the building now. We are watching you. When the Burkinabe troops rolled in, the local population in northern Benin did not run away. They did not protest. They came out onto the streets, cheering, shouting, and showing massive love for our all the savior, the protector, Captain Ibrahim Traore and the frontline forces. This is the deepest lesson of all. Our politicians and governments can have disagreements. They can sign papers, close borders, and argue in big air-conditioned rooms. But the ordinary people on the ground, we are one. The people of Benin and the people of Burkina Faso share the same blood, the same history, and the same daily struggles. There is no xenophobia here. There is only African brotherhood. The local people know who is actually putting their lives on the line to keep the roads safe so they can sell their yams, their corn, and their cattle. They welcome the soldiers because they want peace, and they know that peace will only come when Africans stand together. We must look at this development as a blueprint for the entire continent. Military cooperation is just the first step. We can trust each other with our weapons and our soldiers. We can trust each other with our trade, our currencies, and our resources. The old way of doing things, where we look to Europe or the West to solve our problems, has failed us for 60 years. Every time we divide ourselves, we became weak. When Niger and Benin stopped talking, the TT grew stronger and the economy grew weaker. These new steps in Kuala show that when we choose to talk directly to each other, we find solutions fast. We do not need a green light from Paris, Washington, or Brussels to secure our own villages. The path forward is simple. Share the intelligence. Let our military speak directly to each other without middlemen. Remove the safe havens. Work out agreements with all neighboring countries, so the enemy has nowhere to hide. Open the trade routes. Let the trucks roll again so our people can eat and thrive. My people, we are watching a new Africa being born on the front lines. It is an Africa of action, not just speeches. It is an Africa that is tired of being a playground for foreign military experiments. The road is too long, and the changes are heavy. The new president of Benin has a big task ahead of him. He must continue to build this trust, not just with Burkina Faso, but also with Niger and Mali. He must decide if Benin's future lies with its African brothers or with foreign partners who have brought nothing but decades of instability. But this week, the steps taken on the ground in Kuala gives us hope. It shows that when brothers unite, the enemy trembles. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso and in Benin.